Can you see this?
There we go. I can see it now.
Remember, he's getting old. He's having trouble seeing things.
Yeah. He's like, not in my backyard. I can't see that. It's accessibility.
That's right. Welcome to the Immersive Lens, the podcast exploring the technologies reshaping how we live, work, and learn.
From AI and virtual reality to creative media and design, we're diving into the tools and ideas shaping our connected world.
My name is Paul Engin. Join us as we uncover the people and ideas driving the next wave of interactive experiences.
And I'm Dave Ghidiu. This is the Immersive Lens.
Hey Dave, how are you doing? What have you been up to? Anything exciting?
I'm doing well. We're coming off break. It was the winter break. I did see something fascinating about AI, and I've been doing a lot of research into how training is done. So we gave that webinar of last week about bias and AI bias. And we had that podcast that just dropped
last week
as well. So one of the ways that training, and this I think is kind of fascinating. One of the ways training has gone wrong, and I'm going to use a specific example. This was an article that I saw. I think it was in VentureBeat. So I'll make sure that's in the liner notes or the episode notes for this. Mm-hmm. But there was a startup. One of the problems with manufacturing PCBs, so that's the printed circuit boards. So almost everything in the room that we're in right now, everything has a printed circuit board.
Yep.
And you take things apart. It's the green thing with the copper wires and all that stuff.
Linking everything.
Yeah, so they're trying to get AI to do better layout. So whenever a board needs to be designed, there's kind of three stages. The first is the schematic. So someone draws like, here's where the resistors go or what you need. And then someone actually manually draws the physical layout in CAD software.
Yes. Fusion has a module where you can do that. It's pretty cool. And then you can send it to someone to manufacture.
Oh, really? So you can make your own?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't need AI.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so then the third thing is the manufacturer. And that part's pretty easy. But the layout, that middle step, creates a bottleneck, and there's a few reasons for that. And it can take up to four to 8 weeks to create just one board to lay it out, because you can't have things too close because it'll short circuit because we don't have the technology to make them small enough, or you can't have but you do want it small. So there's an awful lot of specifications. So they thought about training AI on existing circuit boards, and they found that was not a viable option. There's three reasons why. So again, this is an example of biased AI training. The first reason was because humans make frequent errors, and so if we were looking at these boards and training them, we'd be training them with errors in them. And the best designs aren't even publicly available. So when companies really, really crank out great circuit boards, it's not like you can train on that because it's not on Wikipedia, it's not anywhere.
Right.
And the third thing is they realize they're like, well, if we train on existing boards, not only might there be errors in it, but also we're limiting AI. We're not having it push past what the human capabilities are, because it recognizes a very niche set anyhow.
Absolutely. But how beneficial would it be if they can make it more efficient? I'll let you keep going.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's perfect timing. So what they're doing instead is training the model on physics, like actual physics, and then saying, design this board without giving it too much insight into what boards look like. So they're not even using PCB training for PCB generation. They're just giving it real-time physics problems to solve, which I think is kind of neat.
That is awesome. And so are they finding that successful?
So far, yeah. The company is Quilter, and they built a machine which normally in the past had taken about 420 hours down to 38 hours.
That is amazing.
Oh yeah. 90% efficient.
Yeah. The intricacies that go into building a circuit board with all the, paths and transistors and connections is just, that seems like a great place for AI to make things more efficient, because they have all the knowledge of previous boards too, and
what doesn't work,
right?
And that might be uncorking maybe a new way of training or a new way of thinking about models. And I'm sure all the companies are doing this, where we just say hey, here's a problem to be solved. Don't look at what we've done in the past. We'll tell you what didn't work, but here's physics. Understand physics, and then you can understand maybe unlock all this potential. So that's what I've been thinking about.
That's really cool.
Yeah. How are you doing, man?
Good.
I haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to get together with all the kids. So that was really good. One of my kids is out in London. So
holy smokes.
Yeah, we went to across the pond.
Across the pond, the 5-hour pond.
Yeah. My favorite phrase from my trip is mind the gap.
Mind the gap on the tube, right?
On the tube. Yep. So it was a really great trip. And your daughter knows you when she makes one of the stops, a place called Selfridges.
Selfridges.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you would die for this place. It is like a B&H.
And B&H that's a place in New York City that has like
all the
cameras
and all the equipment, tech. Yeah. And so it's a Macy's. Think of it as a Macy's, and on the basement they had all of the electronics. So they had holograms, all the DJI drones. They had derivative drones. They had mini drones, and it got me. And I'm going to talk to Jeff about this later. But like they had a mini drone and literally just moved it up, and through gestures, it tracked him, and he walked down the aisle, and it recorded him walking down the aisle. And then he turned around, and then it followed him. And then he just extended his hand out, and it landed on his hand.
So we don't need selfie sticks anymore?
No, you can just do these little mini drones, and it goes up. But I also had an opportunity while I was there. I know people are like, you went to London and
and you went to play with drones.
We did all the traditional stuff too, but
Big Ben Parliament.
Big Ben Parliament. Yeah. So we did all the sightseeing stuff, and it was a really great trip. But while I was at Selfridges, I also had a chance to look at all the AR glasses. And
I've only seen those and read about them. So those we talked about those before, but those are glasses and it projects like a little bit on the screen, on the lens.
Yes. And it was really eye-opening. One of them wasn't really, I don't consider them AR, so augmented reality, but what it was something you would plug into your computer or your phone, and you could see it as a second screen. So I could, but it looked like regular glasses. So it wasn't Vision Pro, like, the big Apple bulky headset. It was actually just a regular, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could totally be something that someone could use. And it's plugged in, so there's no battery. It's just literally a viewer with the regular glasses. And then I had a chance to look at the older generation of Meta glasses. They don't have the latest one, but it was really cool. I put them on, and I was able to look at my watch and say, what am I looking at? Hey, I said, hey Meta, what am I looking at? And it said, it looks like you're looking at your wrist, and on your wrist is a, ultra,
what model watch you have?
And it could tell you a little bit about what you're looking at. So I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I could see, think about industry or anything else where you can just look at something and go, all right, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. Can you take a look at this? Hey, Meta,
working on a car.
Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of potential there. And again, now you have the displays that are being added to it. So
yeah, that'd be great for especially in manufacturing, things come down the line and it just tells you plug this thing into here, or like if I'm working on something in my car.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's like having YouTube in front of you on demand.
And then
customized.
So that was a great trip, great experience. Got to see all that stuff. Got to play with some toys, and that was really good. And then yesterday I saw something that came out which gave me a huge throwback, and I'm hoping you and Jeff are old enough to remember He-Man.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, of course.
So Jeff, do you know He-Man?
I do.
Okay. So the trailer, they gave a teaser, and then today the trailer came out, and I've been in this 80s nostalgia phase. As I'm driving here, I'm hearing all these 80s songs, and I got to watch the trailer. I'm getting excited.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So I saw some trailers, and it was really hard to tell what was real and what wasn't.
That's what I wanted to tell you about.
But one of the trailers started with in the 80s, and it had clips from the 80s, commercials that I recognize, the cereal and stuff.
That was the real.
They had me at I was like, this is my jam.
Yeah, that was such a great teaser. But that was what I want to talk about, when I was looking for the trailer today, I went through 6 different videos that were all AI generated based on the real trailer.
It did not take a lot of time for that to happen.
No. And I think to myself, all right, there needs to be an algorithm added to YouTube or something that is like filtering AI when things like this.
You're supposed to disclose it.
It was very frustrating. The only way I got, like, I look at the comment right away and it'd say, this is AI slop. This is AI crap. You know, it just went down and I was like, okay, so next one. I finally found the trailer, but it was funny because the first one I watched, I got so excited. I was like, okay. And then I was like, something's off. The audio seems weird. Yeah. That, like, you could tell, like, and I'm like, oh crap, this isn't it.
You fell for it.
Yeah, I fell for it. And then
I usually look at like the who posted videos, like if it's a name I recognize, like Marvel Studios or Kino Central or whatever. Right. But even that, I feel like it's harder and harder to do. In fact, I was watching this video. It was a YouTube short, it was like 90 seconds long. It was this guy who, like, in the woods, and it was one of those time lapse ones where he's wearing GoPro sometimes sets the camera up and he's like building something. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's so cool. He's like digging things out of a stump and he turned it and like he put concrete down there, like built out this tunnel underneath it and put like a hatch on it. It's like, that's so cool. And I showed it to my wife. She's like, you're an idiot. That's AI. I was like, oh no, is it really? And sure enough,
I think you want to believe it's real.
And it was happening so fast. Like, had it been normal speed, I would have probably caught it. Right. But like the tree stump changed sizes and like it got taller and shorter. And I was like, oh man. And then he puts like a refrigerator down there and like, how'd they get the refrigerator down that tiny hole? And I was like, okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Oh, man. But you got to be on the lookout.
Yeah. And then lastly, I wanted to let you know that I did try Stitch and from Google.
Oh, the Google one.
Yeah. And so.
Remind us what Stitch is.
So Stitch is a Google application. It's all web-based, but when you log in, you can tell it what kind of UI or interface you want it to design for a specific app. So if you're trying to build a web app or a standard phone app, you can kind of just tell it the type of design you want, and it'll give you variations. And it is amazing. It's equivalent to, if you've used Figma before, wireframing or prototyping, right? It's a quick way to do a quick prototype. And it gave me derivatives of that. And it was really eye-opening. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I was just able in under 5 minutes to get 6 different style variations of an app I'm thinking about developing. And they all look good. So now I'm torn between it did an amazing job with it.
And you might be able to like A/B test them or whatever too. And they actually they released a suite of like 10 tools. Stitch is one of them for marketing and for production and design.
Google?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they are coming out with so many things so quickly. But all right, we got to get to the deep dive topic today, which is accessibility. And
what do you mean by accessibility?
So there's different forms of accessibility. Before I joined FLCC, I used to do corporate training, and anytime we do training for like a government agency, we had to comply with what's known as a 508 compliance, which is basically a federal mandate that says that the content you create for the government needs to be accessible by people who aren't necessarily have who might be seeing impaired or hearing impaired. It needs to be accessible to them. So things like closed captioning or transcripts, anytime there was a video, they needed to be added to it. And then things like if you needed to, it's called alt tabbing. So you can jump around your screens and there needs to be some kind of description that says you're here.
Oh, so if you're filling out a form or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually it has to be for your whole interface. So if you have a navigation, it's not just for a form. But I know we're going through something here in education, and what's that compliance?
The Title II. So this is the Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it requires state and local governments to provide people with disabilities an equal opportunity to benefit from all the programs, services, activities. And so we need to go through all our content and make sure that it's accessible by everyone.
Right.
Which is a great exercise.
It is. And I think that there's benefits. I think there's a little more work that has to be put into it, but I think there's a positive outcome for all of this afterwards, because now you've built a pretty robust content.
Yeah. And it makes me think of, as we're going through this this process at the college, it makes me think of universal design. And there was this fantastic episode of 99% Invisible, friends of the pod. And
what's 99? I don't even know what that is.
It's a podcast, and it's about design. I'm surprised you don't listen to it. It's about design. But they did an episode about universal design, and the canonical example they give are curb cuts. So curb cuts, like when you're walking in cities, are kind of the ramps that go down from the curb down to the street level. And they were initially designed for wheelchairs because otherwise, how could you get up and down the curb? Right. So they have these curb cuts, and it seemed like people were like, oh, well, this is just going to like disrupt, I might trip over or whatever. But it turns out people with strollers love curb cuts. People on bikes love curb cuts. People who walk with their groceries either with a cart or dragging the cart love curb cuts. So curb cuts are a great example of something that was designed for accessibility, but has really had these profound implications for everyone. And so that's kind of the golden standard when we're doing any design, especially in education, is to make it available for everyone. Right.
And I think that that's really good. As we're going through this, and I know I labeled, like I mentioned closed captioning, but there's more to accessibility than just the closed captioning. I think it's trying to create a similar experience for everybody, no matter what their disability is. So when they're going through content, they can have a similar experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said the captions, because that's another great example of universal design. So it's obviously for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, they could read the captions, but it's great for if you have your TV on and you don't have the volume on. And that happens, I don't know, say in waiting rooms, but a great example for my learners are, if they're, sitting with their kids at night trying to get their kids to go to sleep and they're watching a YouTube video, put the captions on and you don't have to have the volume up. So there's, or for learners who maybe English isn't their first language, now you can get captions in multiple languages. So it's universal design, baby.
Yes. And it's funny you mentioned that captioning, because I feel like that's being used more and more for general use. Yeah. So even when I'm listening to, we'll watch a show that's got a strong British accent, sometimes it's tough to understand. Yeah. So we throw on captioning so we can get we understand what's being said in the show. So I think there's a study that they're finding more people are turning on captioning when they're watching movies at home. Oh, absolutely. And part of it is because of limitations, like the way that we mix audio now is different. But there's all sorts of reasons. But it is great. And if you're living without captions, like at first I thought they were really annoying, but now we have captions on. I'm like, oh, this is great. Right. I agree. I agree. And then, so I mentioned alt tags a little bit. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk a little bit about what those are and how you can integrate those? Yeah, so alt tags are alternative text. So for instance, again, if you're perhaps blind or visually impaired and you're on a website and there's an image, your screen reader might just, and the screen reader is the kind of voice that is reading the items on the screen. For you, right? Yeah. And it will say image. So if it just says image, that doesn't help, that doesn't provide the experience that we're hoping for. So you can include alt text. So when you are authoring content, and you can do this in Google Docs and Word as well. If you right click on it, you can insert alt text, and you should. Yeah. And you can put a description of the image. So when the screen reader reads it, it will, instead of saying there's an image here, will say there's an image and here's what it is, and we'll describe whatever you put in the alt text. And that's actually also universal design, has some great ramifications for in, say, developing nations where bandwidth isn't great for websites, or you have like a very limited bandwidth. You can say, don't download images because that takes up a lot of space. But if you have the alt text there, they'll get the text, so they can still see the intent there. And so as I'm going through all my content and making it accessible, I just take every image and I upload it to AI, and I'm like, can you create alt text for this? And so I just have one conversation, and then I just get alt text for all my images. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, I know for web design, that's always, that's a discussion point. You add alt text to images, add alt text to descriptors of maybe an illustration of something that is on the page. And that's another good reminder, like your images should never have text on them. And if it does have text, you should use alt text to say explicitly what it is. Like the images should not convey like text. Yeah, because I think that one of those things, it's funny when my students are doing web design and they're doing the images, they if there's text in it, I always say, you could do this without the text being on the image. So this way it's searchable too. So
Oh, yeah.
it's like multiple reasons
Universal design, baby.
for that. The other thing one of the tools that I found actually does a pretty good job at this is Adobe Acrobat as well.
And that's the PDF?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Is that for creating PDFs, reading PDFs?
both.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can create, build, edit, and I found when I was doing it this semester, I opened up Acrobat and there's an accessibility checker. And so the accessibility checker allows me to go through everything and tag everything. And it has an option for the images. So it gives it.
So for every PDF, you go through it and it will say like, I understand this text. I need you to fill in the text for this image.
Yeah.
Is that why I see sometimes like PDF versus PDF-A?
I don't know
Okay.
if the extensions, because it's still .pdf. I just ran it through the checker,
I see.
and because I uploaded it, and our learning management system gave me there's an indicator, and it said it was not accessible.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, what?
What was wrong with it?
So then I took it and I found that's how I found the accessibility in Acrobat. And then it ran through it. It didn't have alt tags on the images. It didn't have, so I was able to do it. It popped up things. It gave suggestions, and I could modify the suggestions of the descriptors for the images, for instance.
And so for people out there listening, knowing that they have to go through this, was it onerous? Was it time consuming, or was it like once you get in the groove, like, you fly through doing it?
Once I found it,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like, for instance, when you're doing your alt tags, I don't know, what are you said you put it in the AI,
Yeah.
but then how is it in the Word document, or what are where are you putting it in Google Docs, or?
I'll take the image from my website or whatever, and I'll take that image and upload it to AI and say, hey, and I have a prompt that I use. I'll put that in the show notes, and I'll say generate text, alt text, and it will, and then I'll just copy that text that AI returns to me and put it in Word or in Google Docs.
Gotcha.
And there is an accessibility checker, I think, in Word as well, which is good to know.
Oh, that's good. And I think most of these applications are now having accessibility checkers. And I know, like, I just went to Adobe Express, which we'll talk about in a second, but it's got add-ons for accessibility for not only general accessibility, but contrast accessibility.
And contrast is a big thing. So people don't think about that, but say a lot of times I'll have like a black background with white text, and that the contrast there is pretty good. But then if you start having like an orange background with white text, it gets a little bit harder to read.
Right.
And you're like, oh, is this going to pass accessibility?
Right. And I don't know the threshold, but I always tell my students you need that 40% difference between to have enough contrast where it's somewhat legible. So the higher the contrast, the better it is for people to see. And obviously we have a lot of computers and our mobile devices now have that dark mode to have that level of contrast that
which
people
is nice.
are. Yeah.
Universal design, baby.
And I do think that that's actually stemmed from developers, because if you remember, developers used to have always switched their stuff to dark.
Used to? I still do.
But
we were cool before it was cool.
That's right. But then they said, well, everybody's doing it, or they're doing it, so why don't we all like implement this as a possibility for a view? So now everyone has an option for like dark mode or light mode or
which is nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
No, it's great.
And when you were talking about contrast and making things easier to read and hard to read,
it
made me think of these fonts. So there's a number of fonts. My wife just pointed this one out to me. It's called, and this will also be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Atkinson Hyper Eligible or Hyper Legible. Can you see that?
Yep, hyper legible.
So look at that down there. And folks, you should definitely check this out. But there are fonts that are made to be legible. And one example is the number one versus a capital I versus lowercase I versus lowercase L are very hard to read in some fonts, but not in this font. And so they really did a great job of making this font super easy to read. And a few of the other notable mentions would be Dyslexie, which is a font that was created for helping people with dyslexia read. There's a font called Sans Forgetica, which... I don't have an example of it here,
Yeah.
but I'll put one in the show notes. And it's meant to help you remember what you're reading. So it's missing like some of the strokes.
Yeah.
So a capital F might be missing a part of the stroke. So then your brain has to like do extra work to understand it.
Yes.
And then Lexend, which is a font that's available freely also in Google, and that was intended to reduce visual stress and improve reading performance. Initially for dyslexia, but because of universal design, it was great for everyone. So that's kind of a standard font now.
Yeah, that's interesting because we talk about a Gestalt principle, which is a psychological approach to design on some of these things, and one of them is closure. So your mind automatically closes shapes. So even though you don't see like a shape, your mind can make that leap. So it's really interesting that you mentioned that they've integrated that into a typeface that, that does something like that where your mind is processing.
Gestalt. I like that.
So as far as the typeface, I agree with you 100%. I have a pet peeve as I get older.
Get off my lawn.
That's right. When you hit 28, it starts. Okay, that's a stretch. But the type, when I was like, I'd get a box and it gives me instructions for how to cook. Mm-hmm. There is I had this one that was scripted font, so like a decorative font.
Yeah, like cursive or something.
Yeah, and it was small, and I was like, I can't even. So I have to get my glasses or do the phone magnifier.
Yeah, the phone magnifier.
Yeah, and to read it, but someone like in the company goes, I'm hoping that someone looked at this and goes, why is this a scripted font? Because the next version of the box that I got, it was a sans serif font. I could read it, and they made it slightly larger. And that's when we talk about accessibility, you don't think about it, but that's accessibility, right?
Yeah.
It makes it easier for someone to consume the content.
Accessibility is a design challenge.
Yeah.
And you said sans serif. I to my knowledge. So why don't you tell me what sans serif means?
So there's the serif fonts, which have a little decorative element on the edges of the type,
like the tails of the letters.
Like a Times New Roman, and then the Atkinson Hyperlegible is a sans serif font, or
Arial,
or Helvetica. Those are all sans serif fonts, which don't have the decorative elements, and they've found that sans serif fonts are far easier to read on smaller displays. So it's one of the reasons Google shifted from their serifed font a long time
back
ago.
in the 90s.
Yeah, when they started doing Android, they started moving toward the sans serif font because obviously
that's interesting.
It's more legible on their watch faces, on their phone faces.
I did not know that.
So
design was driving that.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because sometimes it's things you don't think about as far as that goes. And I know we talked about captioning before, but YouTube has automatic captioning,
which is pretty good these days.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be, but it's pretty dang good.
And it's getting better and better. I know we have to look at the captioning for ours because I think they don't get our names correct all the time, right? But I think it does a pretty good job. Adobe Express has, which is a web-based platform where you could just log in. I think there's a free version of it, that you can just log in and you have limited
things. It does like some design work or small movies
like
and stuff.
Canva. And I'm assuming Canva probably does this too, but where you can upload your video and it'll do visual captioning for you as well. So
it's descriptive audio.
Descriptive, yep. Okay. Well, no, it's not descriptive. So this is just captioning. So your audio is, but it's visible.
Oh, I see, on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how they do that on like TikTok and shorts and stuff?
Exactly. Oh. And you can time it out so it highlights the word that's being said. But yeah, so TikTok is a perfect example, and shorts, they have the same thing. But you brought up a great point. So there's a difference, right, between descriptive audio versus CC, right?
Yeah. So closed caption.
Right.
So closed caption is what I grew up with, where you turn the volume down and you can still see the words.
Correct. And descriptive would be describing what is happening in the video. So I think that there's a distinction here where it's and I'm not sure, I haven't really explored this too much because we have that's really what the alt tag is, right? If you think about alt tags for an image, you have two options. There is usually, if it's a decorative element, you don't need to do a descriptive tag.
If it's like a swirl or a line or something.
Right.
Okay.
But if it is a image that's relevant to, in this case, we'll say learning, you need to describe, this is a bar chart of blah, 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 that shows X, Y, Z.
Sure.
So this way, if someone who can't see it, they can hear what the image is conveying, if that makes sense. And that's descriptive.
So let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
Watching The Lion King, and there's that scene where like Simba's born, and then like Rafiki like holds him up on Pride Rock like over everyone.
Right.
So the music, it was probably like Circle of Life. I don't know, maybe.
Right.
So the closed caption would be that, but the descriptive audio would be like, there is a monkey ceremonial holding a little lion cub above. Like, okay.
Yeah, with other animals watching in triumphant manner.
And
blah,
bowing.
blah, blah. Yeah.
And bowing. Okay. So you know you're Lion King. Okay. That's all this was a test of
my Lion King knowledge. I passed.
You passed.
And I think that one of the things we can think about is, most Macs have accessibility. And I know you'll talk a little bit in a second about your Chromebook, but I know one of the things that I use for my Mac accessibility is someone who has seeing impairment and they need larger fonts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that I tend to do with it is I'll show them that they can increase the typeface. So I'll set up their system so when they log on, it's a bigger view. And sometimes the other thing I'll do is I'll bring a laptop in, and laptops sometimes don't have the display resolution that they might need.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll HDMI them to a monitor that's in front of them so they can see it larger.
And it just mirrors it.
If that makes sense. So it's those little things. And then for me, when I'm teaching, I do it all the time. And Jeff helped me with the setting up my room. But it allows me an accessibility feature to zoom in. So when I'm talking about a specific element on the screen, everybody in the room, I'm zooming in so they can see it. Versus like, being in the back of the room, going, what's he pointing at?
Yeah, and that's something, and it's very easy to do. You can pinch and zoom on a Mac on most applications and zoom in to write what you're doing. So it fills up the whole screen with whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, but this is doing it so you can you can't see it there, but I'm holding the control key and I'm zooming in so I can really zoom into a specific UI place or a specific thing where I'm like, clicking on here so everybody in the room can see what I'm talking about. Yeah,
and I do that when I'm making videos too. I'll kind of like pinch the zoom so I can highlight the specific thing. But you're right, Chromebooks have accessibility. They have a menu, and so unlike Windows, and I don't know how it is on a Mac, but in Windows, accessibility is in like 3 different places.
Yeah.
But on a Chromebook, it's right here, and they have like ChromeVox, which is your spoken feedback, and everything has a toggle or select to speak or dictation. It even has face controls. But one of my favorite ones that I use, and magnifiers, color inversion, all that stuff, is my cursor has a red circle around it. So it's very easy to see where I'm pointing at any given time. Mm-hmm. And I initially started doing that when I was making videos for my online learners so that it's much easier to follow a red circle than a cursor.
Yeah.
But I got used to it, and now I just leave it there, and I love it. So I always know exactly where my cursor is.
That's it's those little things that you don't think about.
Universal design, baby.
Yeah, it's great. And I know like iPhones have accessibility as well.
I think mobile phones generally are way better than anything else for accessibility.
I agree, because I think that they kept that in mind once they started developing it, they started doing it. So like you can go to accessibility on an Android or on an iPhone, and you can make your text bigger. You can make your contrast higher. You can do audio text. You can even change the way Face ID works and lots of different things. So you have a lot of control over it. They have eye tracking and this is iPhone specifically. So you can just use your eyes as a cursor.
Oh my gosh.
So there's tons of different. This has head tracking, eye tracking, voice control. So lots of different things that you can do, and obviously something to definitely explore, on your device if you're running into things or you're having difficulty seeing something, or, there's probably on your phone, like you said, it's been thought of probably even before your computer or anything else.
Yeah. And I'm glad that it's making mainstream too. Like captions
Yes.
are big everywhere. Dark mode is big everywhere. Like people are starting to see like these features that have always existed are now like really relevant and they make your life easier.
Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting because I think people don't think about it enough, but when they do, it really is an amazing thing to think about that, you know, this closed captioning was done because of accessibility, but now it's just people do it just in general, just for themselves. So it's easier. And that whole logic of, because now it's easier for you to understand what's happening, that's what helps other people that have an issue that maybe they can't hear it.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your takeaway for accessibility as far as if somebody is thinking about doing accessibility as a requirement? What would you say about, first, in general, is it worth it? And then second, what are some tools or something that you might have used or something, you know, you could think about?
I would say, yes, it's totally worth it for accessibility, just so everyone can access your content, but also because of universal design. It just makes the experience better. It just levels it up for everyone. And from the work that I do for anyone who's out there doing education or kind of content creation is use alt tags, be very descriptive. And now that we have AI to do that, like my prompt is like be exceedingly descriptive. So whereas before I might put 1 or 2 sentences, now I can have 4, 5, 6 sentences. So I would just say use AI to do that, and then just make sure that you're captioning whatever you're captioning if you're making videos. And the auto captioning is 99% accurate these days. So just go through there. You know, if it's a video that a lot of people are watching, just make sure that you just like brush it up if you need.
And I would say, you know, when we talk about the captioning, and I tell my students this too, when they're doing a site and they want to move video, you can absolutely add video to your server. You can host it, but I tell them there's a benefit of you uploading it to YouTube because some things people don't think about is accessibility as far as bandwidth. So I did some grant work with an institution, and it was going to third world countries where they had very limited bandwidth.
Sure.
And so the content was not like the standard video, even if it's like 100 megabytes here is nothing.
It's huge there.
There, it's just not feasible. So one of those things I thought about is, okay, I'm going to compress the bejesus out of this. But the other thing is we can do it so we can upload it to YouTube, and it gives different variations based on your bandwidth, and it automatically adjusts the resolution.
Yeah.
So you just have to upload your highest resolution, and it will dynamically change based on your bandwidth, right?
I didn't know that.
So that's a benefit. I think the other thing that we did as an alternative is we did text and we did just audio. So the audio file is smaller, so they have that option as well. So
we're doing that because we have HD video. We have the podcast version,
right.
And you can go to our website and get the transcript, the text version.
So you have everything.
We are accessible, folks.
And the closed captioning is only going to get better with each.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, YouTube is just coming out with the algorithms to make it cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. There's a lot of different tools, like I mentioned, Acrobat.
Yeah, I'll have to dig into that. It seems like it's worth it.
100%. And I'm almost guarantee that any software, if it's Word, if it's Google, if it's Canva, that they probably have an accessibility option that does a check and will look at different things. And like I said, even in Adobe Express, you can add an add-on that even does contrast, so color accessibility.
I bet even if it doesn't do it natively, there's extensions that you can get to or add-ons for like Word, and if you really want to get like deep down to the nitty-gritty of the accessibility.
Yep, 100%. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. If you liked what you heard, make sure you like and subscribe.
I'm Dave Ghidiu. If you enjoyed today's conversation, smash that subscribe.
Subscribe.
We're talking about the description button, the alt description. And let's just be careful out there, folks.
Yes, and make sure you share with your friends and colleagues. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and thanks for looking through the Immersive Lens with us and everyone. Mind the gap.
Mind the gap.
Mind the gap.
the accessible immersive lens.
That's right.
And I just want to stop right now. It says this episode was engineered by Jeff Kidd, and there's a lot of invisible labor that goes on. I started listening to these because these episodes have dropped, and all the people that I hear Paul and me on these, but it's like Jeff is working so diligently. So thank you so much, Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
You're super talented.
My pleasure.
This was recorded at Finger Lakes Community College Podcast Studios, located in beautiful Canandaigua, New York, in the heart of the Finger Lakes region, offering more than 55 degrees, certificates, micro-credentials, and workforce training programs.
Thank you also to Public Relations and Communications Marketing and the FLX AI Hub. That's a little bit more invisible labor of people doing work under the hood.
Yes, absolutely. And eager to delve into passion, discover exciting and immersive opportunities at www.flcc.edu.
As part of our mission at FLCC, we are committed to making education accessible, innovative, and aligned with the needs of both students and employers.
The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official position of Finger Lakes Community College.
Music by Den from Pixabay.
This is the Immersive Lens. Testing, hello.
Check, check, check. I don't think he's okay.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Check.